What's going on, Stanio Clanyo? Happy Sunday evening. Welcome into Team Stanio Live. If you are jumping into this live stream while Rory is coming down Amen Corner in the final round of the Masters, then you are the real ones, and I am here for you guys. I'm missing the Masters, because we got to do YouTube Live. It's Sunday. Let's do it. Hey, I thought I'd actually have do a fun one tonight. We're going to talk a little bit about the life of a real estate agent. And the career of a real estate agent. And if you are out there, I know some of you out there you are real estate agents who watch this channel, or maybe you're out there and you're someone who's thinking about becoming a real estate agent. And so the question is, should you do that? Is that a good idea? And we've got a headline that we're going to go through. And that headline is that real estate agents are reluctant to recommend their career amid industry challenges. So I want to talk to you guys a little bit maybe about those challenges, maybe also about the benefits of being a real estate agent. And of course, any questions you have for me as we go along here. I know most of you following this channel are not real estate agents. So as always, if you want to jump in the chat and have any question real estate related, Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky, I am here for you guys tonight. But I saw this headline. I thought it'd be a fun one. So let's jump into it. Okay, real estate agents, they're reluctant to recommend their career. Why is that? Let's get into the stats here. A growing share of real estate agents wouldn't recommend their career to others. Only 21% of agents said they're likely to recommend being a real estate agent, compared to 49% who said they're unlikely to recommend their career to others, according to a survey conducted by real estate firm Redfin Corporation. We're going to get into that in just a little bit. That nearly 29% point differential is the worst it's been in years, and the metric has worsened since the COVID-19 pandemic. In 2019, there was a 17 percentage point differential between the share of agents likely to recommend the profession versus those who would not. So that's 29% differential now. The biggest issue of the job cited by agents surveyed is the unpredictability of income, which ranked highest among surveyed agents. 43% said it was a major issue, while 34% said it was a minor issue. The difficulty of finding customers and building a business was the second highest reason cited, with 37% saying that was a major issue and 38% saying that was a minor issue. So I don't know if you've thought about becoming a real estate agent. In case you don't know, we're on commission. That's how it works. And so, yeah, unpredictability of income is a major issue. In fact, let's go over. Let me pull this up while we're at it. We're going to go through kind of this survey, because I think if you're out there and you are watching this and you're thinking about becoming a real estate agent in 2025, you want to know some of these stats. You want to know, okay, how much income can I expect to make? So let's look at that right now. So in terms of agent performance, okay, nearly 3 out of 5, 58% of agents earn more than $50,000 in 2024. That's up from 49% in 2023. So you've got a higher likelihood of at least making $50K as a real estate agent. The share of agents making higher incomes also increased, with nearly 30% earning more than $100,000, up from 22% in 2023. So here's the breakdown. Okay, in 2024, less than $50,000 is 42% of agents. 42% of agents are going to make less than $50,000. In fact, the stats are crazy when it comes to real estate agents. The turnover is real. And so maybe you've been in real estate yourself, or maybe you know somebody who has, but the stats are like within 5 years, 90% of real estate agents will be out of the business. And so the turnover is definitely something else here. All right, so let's get back to this. So 42% make less than $50,000 last year. 28% of agents made between $50,000 and $100,000. 19% made between $100,000 and $200,000, and 11% of real estate agents, that's up a little bit from the previous years, but 11% of agents made more than $200,000 in 2024. Okay. So there's a little bit of a feel of like, how much money can you expect to make as a real estate agent? But going back, and we'll dig into these stats a little bit more here as we go along. But according to the survey, the biggest reason why agents wouldn't recommend to others why maybe you shouldn't become a real estate agent is because income is so unpredictable as a real estate agent. So that's the biggest issue. All right, let's keep going on here. This one's fun to me because coming up behind unpredictability of income, number one issue, and then finding customers and building a business was the second highest reason cited. So, you don't get leads just handed to you. You gotta build your own business as a real estate agent. You've got to do lead generation. You got to figure that out. There's a number of ways to do that. There's a lot of good ways to do that. I like doing YouTube. But there's a lot of good ways to do lead generation. But that's the second highest reason why people say, maybe we wouldn't recommend this job. But the number third reason, I kind of love here. I think this is funny. This made me chuckle. This is one of the reasons why I wanted to do this live stream tonight. Dealing with other agents who are rude or unprofessional ranked number 3 on the major issues list. Eclipsing total income. So more than the total income they make, and most people make $50,000 or less, or 42% of people make $50,000 or less. Dealing with other agents who are rude or unprofessional is number 3 on the list. And I mean, I can relate. I can relate to that a little bit. I've dealt with my fair share of rude agents, my fair share of unprofessional agents. And so I get that. I feel that. I know I've probably been unprofessional at times. I've probably been rude at times myself. I'm not innocent. I'm guilty, probably like the rest of people here. Difficulty closing deals in a volatile market. Yep. That's another one. And poor hours and even abusive customers. Poor hours. We can talk about that in a little bit, but this is important to know. If you're thinking of becoming a real estate agent, and we'll talk about why people love it. And, the plus side of being a real estate agent is you're your own boss, right? So you can work whenever you want to work. The downside to that is you only get paid if you're good at your job and you work the appropriate amount of hours. And so a lot of people get into the business and they're like, great, I can control my hours. I can do whatever I want. I can work when I want. But if you're not putting the work into lead generation, you're not going to get paid. And so that's a downside. That's a downside. Now, poor hours, that is a struggle too, because, the plus side is you can kind of work whenever you want. The downside is when clients need contracts, and in the market that we've been in for the past several years, you need to be on it. You need to be serving your clients. You need to be up late writing contracts. And I can't tell you how many, hundreds and hundreds of hours. I'm sure I've worked, into the evening to 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, sometimes even 11 o'clock, finishing up a contract because it's like, no, you got to win this. You got to serve your clients in this market. And like when inventory's tight, that's your job. Your job as a real estate agent is to be a servant. And so if you're like, nah, I'm not going to do it, well, then your client might not win that house and you're not serving their best interest. And then you're not getting paid because serving clients' best interest is the way you get paid. And having a good reputation in this business and getting good client reviews, like that's how you get paid as a real estate agent. You've got to do a good job for your clients. And that means working nights and that means working weekends. And so that's just kind of part of it. I'm here on Sunday night while Rory's fighting off Justin Rose right now because I'm doing this for you guys. Okay, let's keep going on here. So a whopping 86% of agents rated entrepreneurial independence and being able to set their own schedule and make their own decisions as major benefits of the job. And I would agree with that. Like having flexibility, being able to work on the road, that is a huge reason why it's actually a big reason why I didn't want to get into becoming a real estate agent at first. Cause I'm like, I was a dad of 3. My 4th was on the way. We have 5 kids now. And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I really care about being a dad. I don't know if I want to work those nights and weekends. And I'll be honest, like a lot of times that's going to run into your family time. That's part of the job. But there's also a lot of times where I get to be flexible and do things with my family that I normally wouldn't get to do. So that is a huge benefit of becoming an entrepreneur, not just an agent, but an entrepreneur in general. The difficulty then is, read the book. What is it? I'm blanking right now. It is E-Myth Revisited, right? But that book, a challenge, especially once you start building your business, is that it doesn't lock you into those hours. So you've got to build systems, you've got to build processes. Reading the book E-Myth is figuring out how to use leverage and systems and processes so you don't build yourself into a prison of work. And that's a challenge not for just real estate agents, but any entrepreneur, right? Okay, let's keep going here. Another 10% named those things as minor benefits. Additionally, 76% said helping people whose lives are in transition is a major job benefit, while 72% said relationships with customers are a major benefit. And I would agree with this. Like, I wouldn't say I got into real estate because I'm just like fascinated with all things architecture and housing and real estate. Like I like it, but I wasn't like, I didn't grow up like watching HGTV, just like, oh my gosh, I love real estate. But I do really like helping people. And I think one thing that was pretty surprising to me early on that I learned as a real estate agent was like, you're part real estate agent, you're part negotiator, but you're also part counselor and listener and pastor. Like this is a big deal for people. For most people, buying the house is like the biggest financial transaction you're going to have in your life, or buying, your second house, third house, whatever it is. And so there's a lot of emotions that come with that. Selling a house to get the most money, like it's a stressful time. You're doing a lot of work and you're trying to add on top of your normal life, going to see houses or getting your house ready to sell. It is hard. It is stressful. And, having someone guide you through that and having someone who really can listen to your needs properly, that's a huge part of the job. And so I would agree with this, like the statement that 76% of people list, helping people whose lives are in transition as a major job benefit. That's something I would totally agree with, that it is really rewarding to get there at the closing table. And, there tends to be all these little hurdles along the way, and that's fine. Like that's another thing my wife pointed out to me quickly was like, look, I think in the beginning I was like, oh, this is going to be easy, no problem. But really what being a real estate agent is like you have a few moments to celebrate, like with your clients when they get pre-approved or they get under contract on the house or they get through inspections or they close on the house. When you're selling it, it's like getting the house listed, like the listing date, the active date, getting activity and offers and getting under contract and getting through inspections on the sell side, and then closing date. These are the times where like, these are really exciting moments. Took a lot of work to get there. And then like everything in between and around it are like problems you have to solve. And then like, that's part of being a real estate agent. And that's part of like, you're working alongside of your clients to solve all of those problems. And those are stressful times. But being able to do that and building the relationships with customers, I would agree with this. That is a major benefit here. 61% said that their love of real estate, houses, and neighborhoods was a major benefit. And I would say that's part of it for me. But again, I'm not going out on the weekends unless I have to for clients, going like, ooh, look at this. Like I would rather like watch the Bengals or watch the Masters, or be with my kids or go on a hike. Agents are also aware of big challenges, with 64% rating homeownership affordability as a major concern facing agents in the next 5 years. Another 28% rated affordability as a minor concern. So yeah, this is a real challenge. As for being a real estate agent, is like there are less people buying houses right now. Housing is less affordable than it was. Interest rates look like they're going up. And I've been saying this for a little bit now to people of like, hey, if you're waiting for interest rates to come down, they could, but timing the market's really hard on that. And just by the way, on the flip side of that, interest rates can go up. And they actually did this last week. They went up quite a bit, like a shocking amount, like 3/4 of a point in a week, which that is very rare. And they could go up more. There's a lot of uncertainty out there. And so, yes, when there's less affordability, that is a big concern for real estate agents and for buyers and for sellers. Like, when the market slows down, that's hard on everyone, but specifically this episode's about real estate agents. If there are less home sales, and there's less there's less pie of those home sales to go around. There's less dollars per agent to go around, less sales to make. For many Americans, buying a home remains more out of reach than ever. Agents know all too well that elevated mortgage rates and high prices are not going away. Affordability was far and away the top concern cited by agents. An ongoing lack of housing inventory, declining commissions, and the continued fallout of class action lawsuits related to buyer agent commissions were ranked next. So we've seen all of that in the past few years. We've seen, home prices go up. We've seen a lack of housing inventory. We've seen declining commissions, although not as much as you would think. We'll get into that. There's some stats below here. And the continued fallout of class action lawsuits. Again, that was the NAR settlement that happened last summer. Not really much has changed other than you need to have a conversation with your buyers before you go look at houses. They need to actually believe in you and enough to hire you to sign a piece of paper saying, yeah, I want you to be my real estate agent. For us, that's actually been awesome. I love having these buyer agreements in place now that we're about a year into it, because it's like, let me tell you what we do for you. Now, let me tell you what I expect from you to us, which is like, you're working with us and you need to sign on that. Like, I think that's better. You're going to know what our compensation is up front. I love that. I think that transparency is better. I think everything about that is better. But a lot of people will look at the stats here. A lot of agents have gotten out of the business because they can't provide their value proposition to clients. They can't communicate that clearly. They can't get these buyer, they were just buying leads and trying to show up at with these Zillow leads at properties. And a lot of people have bounced because of that. What's up, Brink? Hey, afternoon. Good afternoon to you as well. Where are you watching from? And anything I can help you with, let me know. All right, continuing on here. The housing market has been tough for agents. So the median home prices skyrocketed during, it's not only been tough for agents, it's been tough for buyers and sellers as well. The median home price, this is nationally, went from $327,000 in the fourth quarter of 2019 to $442,000 in the fourth quarter of 2022. That's a 35% increase. Since then, sales prices have largely leveled off, with the median price standing at $419,000 in the fourth quarter of 2024. Again, that's nationally. Here in Cincinnati, locally, we're just under $300,000 for our median sales price. Independence, Kentucky, let's go. Love it. Appreciate you checking in. And so getting back to this, the tough market for buyers has also been tough for agents. By the end of 2024, the number of full-time real estate agents and brokers dropped to its lowest point in more than a decade. I'm going to read that again. By the end of 2024, the number of full-time real estate agents and brokers dropped to its lowest point in more than a decade. In 2019, there were about 543,000 full-time real estate agents and brokers in the United States. After 2020, there was 524,000. In 2021, 512,000. In 2022, in 2023, that number dropped to 440,000. And then in 2024, that number dropped to 398,000 agents and brokers. That is a huge decline from 2019 to 2024. And this is like really fascinating to me, because most people are getting out because they're not making enough money. And this is kind of all I've known. I got into real estate in January of 2018 was when I got my real estate license in Kentucky, and then a month or so later in Ohio. So I've been doing this have I done it? I can never do the math. Is that 7 years? I think I've done it for a little over 7 years now. And for me, so for most agents in the industry, they've gone ding, 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 ding. People have been getting out of it. And I've only seen growth in my business throughout. And so I'm kind of like, I don't know, is this what it's supposed to be? A lot of agents are getting out, but like we seem to keep growing. So that's a good thing here at Team Stanio. The last time the number of full-time agents and brokers was that low was in 2013. So 12 years ago, according to the Federal Reserve data. During the height of the housing boom in the run-up to the financial crisis, the total number of agents and brokers was 504,000. So a lot of agents have gotten out of the business in the last few years here. Some experts also attributed the recent decline in agents in part to the $418 million NAR settlement in March 24. I mean, there's no question they went from 440 to 398 last year. So a lot of people got out because they couldn't, again, figure out the cooperative compensation. They thought it was unfair, blah, blah, blah. Like, again, I think that settlement has been great. I think it's been better for the consumers. You guys understand who you're paying, how much you're paying on the front end. It's a better relationship. We've always done this with sellers, and about half of the country was signing these buyer agency agreements already. We just weren't, not a whole lot of people were doing it. Very, very few people were doing it here in Cincinnati, Northern Kentucky. And for us, it has been like I don't know, it's just a seamless transition, because a lot of you guys who are reaching out to us to buy or sell a house, you know us, you've watched some of our videos. By the time you reach out, you're kind of like, hey, it's time for us to move, or it's time for us to buy a house or sell a house. Like, we've watched you, we want you to be our agent, let's connect. And so I think the way, I do lead gen and our team does lead generation, there's usually a little bit of trust and credibility. And, we might not have talked yet. We don't have the relationship yet, but it's made the transition to these buyer broker agreements a lot easier, as opposed to agents who are literally only buying their leads from realtor.com or Zillow.com or whatever. It's a completely cold relationship. You don't have any trust or accountability or authority built up. That's a harder conversion, right? Because they don't know you, you don't know them. So I just, that's why we continue to kind of invest and be like, look, we want to keep creating content here. Like, we want to educate people. We want to show people that we know what the heck we're talking about, and build the trust by doing the work. That's kind of what we're doing here. So, but a lot of agents have gotten out because of that. So moving on here, the NAR is, as part of its settlement, agreed to a series of internal changes that took effect in August. We talked about those. Meanwhile, the overall share of buyer agent commissions has shifted, but not by much. Data from Redfin indicates the average buyer's agent commission was 2.37% for homes sold in the fourth quarter, largely unchanged from 2.36% in the third quarter. And by the way, you might be thinking, like, aren't commissions normally 3%? And yes, but this includes like all commissions. So there's a lot of like flat fee agents out there that charge like $500 just to like put your house on the market or something like that. Same on the buyer side. There's like limited service agents out there. So that 2.37 number and 2.36 includes all of that. Most agents around here in the Northern Kentucky, Cincinnati area are 3%, both sides. And you can tell this, it has not changed much, because in the fourth quarter of 2023, before the NAR settlement, that number was 2.45%. And it's gone down only to, where are we? 2.37%. Or 2.36, whichever one that is. So very small change. And I say this to my clients all the time. I'm like, look, after the settlement, really nothing's changed. The only thing is, like, we need to explain our value to you, our roles to you. You need to understand your role to us. Like, if you go to talk to a builder, but you sign a buyer agreement with us, like, we're your agent. And that builder needs to pay our commission. If you go to a for sale by owner, or if you go to an open house, but we sign this buyer agreement, we're your agent, and you've signed an agreement that says you're going to pay us. Okay, we understand. Great. And so I've got some clients right now who are looking at for sale by owner, and I'm negotiating with that for sale by owner. And by the way, all for sale by owners are the same. They just want to save money on the commission. They typically overprice their home. It's like the same thing over and over again. So this guy's like, I don't want to pay a commission, but he's doing all this extra work. Like, I flip houses and I pay a commission because I'm like, it's just worth it to have that. Now, I'm my own agent, but I still pay myself the commission because I know the work that's involved with it. But I'm working with my buyers, and they're like, hey, we saw this for sale by owner. What do we do? I'm like, well, we go ask that for sale by owner if he's going to pay my commission, which is 3%, which is what you agreed to. We go and ask him. He said yes. If he had said no, I would have told my buyers, hey, you can still move forward with that, but I'm sorry, I'm not going to help you, because, like, I need to get paid too, like, for my work. And so, happy to have you buy that house. That's fine. You can do it on your own. But if he's not going to pay that money, now there's other ways to do it as well, which is like, you can kind of wrap my commission into the purchase price. And that way the seller's getting the same amount of money. So if the buyer's cool with that, let's say that for sale by owner, or even a seller, because this happened with one of my, not a for sale by owner, but an actual client we had the other day with a home that was listed on the MLS. We put in an offer, and we asked the seller to pay the full 3% commission. And they're like, we're only paying 2%. And I'm like, you could have told us that when we told you we were making our offer. But so what happens in that situation, when I've already signed a 3% buyer agreement with my buyers, they have to come up with that extra 1%. So they have to pay that extra cash to me. Or, and this is what we did, I said, hey, Mr. Buyer, what we can do is we can just raise the purchase price by that 1%. That way you don't have that additional cash out of your pocket. And so I still get my 3%. The purchase price is going to be 1% more on this house. It was like another $4,000, but now you can keep that cash in your pocket, because the buyers are already coming up with the down payment and with the closing costs, oftentimes for their lender fees. And so to come up with commission for the buyers, that's why this hasn't changed much over the last year. That's why it's basically pretty much been the same, because sellers know that buyers are coming up with that. And so, they're not, in 95% of the transactions, they're not asking the buyers to pay the buyer's agent commission. They're paying that full 3%. That's why the commissions have not changed much. Okay, so I want to show you, especially those of you who are watching this, more so a little bit as to like, should I become a real estate agent? Let's go through a few more of these charts from this Redfin article so you can kind of get a feel for what it might be like. All right, how many sales did you close? Now, again, there's a learning curve too. And so let's see if I can make this a little, nope, that's not going to work. We'll keep it there. There's a bit of a learning curve. Your first year, you're not going to have your best year ever your first year. It's just like anything else. Like, let's think about the NFL draft and all these rookies that the Bengals are hoping will come save their season. It doesn't really usually happen your first year. When you're a rookie, you're figuring things out. There's a lot to do. You got to figure out your continuing education. You got to figure out how to write a contract. You got to do all these things. You got to get business cards. You got to figure out your contact management system. You got to figure out how to use the MLS. There's all these things you got to learn, and that's going to keep you from some sales activity. So just FYI, your first year is going to be down a little bit. But here's where we stood in terms of how many units, how many sales did you close? 27% of real estate agents sold, what's going on here? Sold less than 5 last year. In fact, the number here in Cincinnati is 50, or even nationally, I think this plays out, is that 50% of agents sell, I think it's 1 or it might be even 0 homes a year. So that's crazy. This one says 27% did less than 5. Okay, another 27% do 5 to 9, 30% do 10 to 19, 15% do 20 or more. So this, this correlates with how much money you're making here. If you sell 20 or more, you might be making more than $200,000 a year. Is that right? Let me do the math on that. That's roughly right. Okay, share of agents with less. Well, I guess before I move on here, performance improvements are likely a reflection of fewer new agents entering the industry. Last year, 17% of agents had less than 3 years experience compared to 28% in 2021. So there's less agents getting into the industry. So going back, should you become a real estate agent in 2025? There's less agents getting in, but also maybe that means more opportunity for you if you can stick it, if you can make it in the business. Share of agents with less than 3 years of experience, there was 28%. There's only 17% of those in 2024. So even in a world with fewer sales, the best agents are doing well. That is kind of the case. Like the rich are getting richer here. The agents who do the most sales volume in the market, they're getting more of that market share while other agents are leaving the business. Those agents who've made it through the roller coaster ride of the past few years are the type of agents who can overcome challenges and thrive. That's right. See? Let's see here. Where's my latest award? We thrive. What's up? Bam. We've done this, Circle of Excellence? I don't know. Every year I've been eligible. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's my 6th year. So that my first year I wasn't eligible for it, but every year we've done Circle of Excellence. We're a team here that thrives. We overcome challenges. Our business is growing. We're adding more agents to the team. Just saying. We're going to talk about that a little bit more here, but less agents getting in, and the agents who are doing well, they're thriving. Did you work other jobs in the past 12 months to supplement your income as an agent? All respondents, 35% of people said yes. 54% supplemented with 1 to 50K of income. Oh, if you're making 1 to 50K, then 54% of agents had another job. If you're making between 50 to 100, then 36% are making income from another job. And another job, it says supplement your income. So, these people who are making 100 or 200, maybe they are getting income from real estate rentals or somewhere else, some kind of other income as well. Choosing a brokerage. Okay, let's talk about this for a minute. Agents are switching brokerages looking for a better commission split and support. So this is very fascinating to me. Nearly 1 in 7 agents, 15%, are planning to switch brokerages in the next 12 months, and almost that many, 13.4%, did switch in the past 12 months, highlighting the constant movement of agents. Nearly 1 in 5, almost 19% of those who did switch brokerages in 2024 are already planning on switching again in 2025. That is bonkers to me. So just looking at this, like, there are agents who are looking, the agent, I've never switched a brokerage. Okay. I did my research before I came in. I asked my friend who was my real estate agent, who's with Huff Realty here in town. He'd been doing it about, I don't know, 10, 12 years. And I was like, hey, Brad, if you were me and you were starting into the career, which brokerage would you go to? And interestingly enough, he didn't name his own brokerage. He didn't name Huff. He's like, you know what? I would go to Keller Williams. I was like, fascinating. Why do you say that? He said, well, their training is the best. They have the best training, and their values. That was his answer. Their core values and their training. And he's like, now look, they can get a little rah-rah. That was his exact words to me. They can get a little rah-rah. But, if you can overcome the rah-rah, the values and the training. I was like, great. I need training because I'm 35 years old, don't know what I'm doing, and training would be good. But I've never left. I've had multiple opportunities. I get phone calls often from other brokerages who are like, hey, you want to come over and work with us? You want to come over to taste the Coldwell Banker? You dip your toe over here, Sipsy Klein, Huff Realty. And because that's a job of these, different brokerages, is to try to get agents on their team. And I'm like, no, I don't want to do that. Look, I'm a loyal person. I'm happy here. I don't want to do all the work to switch. And I'm successful here. So we're good to go. I like it here. So very interesting. Agents are constantly switching. There's a lot of people who they're unhappy one place, so they switch. And they get to that new place, they're like, I'm going to switch again. And that's a lot of time and a lot of effort just to switch. So why are they switching? Let's take a look at this. When choosing a brokerage to work for, agents care about factors like brand recognition and support because they help them build their businesses. 55% of agents rated the brand and reputation of a brokerage as very important, while 54% rated training and support as such. But when it comes down to it, cash is king. The commission split is easily the most important factor, with 78% rating it as very, very important. So, okay, very important to why choosing a brokerage. Commission split and fees, brokerage brand reputation, brokerage support and training, culture, technology, internet presence, marketing support, admin support, leads, physical office, profit sharing, stock options. Okay. And for most people, profit sharing, stock options, not important at all. They just want the commission split and or fees. The brand reputation is like the most important, along with support and training and culture. For me, it was, when I got into it, it was definitely culture and it was support and training. Those were my top two. I think the brand was probably number 3. Commissions actually was not that important to me when I got into it. Because if you look at commission splits in these different brokerages, they're all basically the same. And the answer to the commission split question is go sell more houses. It's not the split. The answer to the split, like for people who leave brokerages for the split, I'm like, how about you focus on more lead generation? And then the split doesn't matter. So what I love about Keller Williams, and why I'll never leave unless they do something really weird and stupid, is that once you hit what's called a cap in Keller Williams, I do have a split with my broker, and I have to pay them basically like 25 grand a year. Once I pay them 25 grand, that's broken down a little bit in a couple of different ways. Once I pay that, then I get 100% of my commission the rest of the year. For the full year, every commission that comes in, I get 100% of it, of that 3%. And then great. And then that resets the next year. Then I got to do it again. And I got to pay them my split. Now there are other places where you might get more money up front, but maybe they'll only give you a max of like 90% or 95 or 97%. And I'm like, all of that is like kind of roughly the same. But if you do a lot of business, then having it capped totally makes sense. Like you want to be at a place that caps your commission so that you can get 100% for the year. And that rewards you selling a lot of business. Now, not everyone's there. I get that. And so like, you might need to do the math on like, well, if I'm only going to do 5 deals a year or 8 deals a year or 10 or 12, then maybe that split matters a lot more. And I get that. I would say this, the other thing that happens if you join a team, at least here at Keller Williams. So that cap I mentioned is like 25,000 on my own as an individual agent. But for all the agents who join my team, they get a significant discount on their cap. And they only need to pay Keller Williams about $6,000 for the year when they join a team. So you're splitting commissions with a team, but your cap to Keller Williams is cut to about 25%. So that's a huge deal. There's a big advantage to joining a team in terms of your cap split. So I don't want to get into the weeds too much. I know most of you guys, if you're watching this, appreciate you. You're hanging in there. You're getting a little different info tonight. I don't think I've ever made a video about this. So I just saw this article. I thought it'd be interesting. I saw this article about 30 minutes ago. And I'm like, oh, that'd be a lot of fun. Let's talk about that. Okay, so this is what matters the most to people: commission splits, brokerage, and brand reputation. I'll say one more thing about brokerage brand reputation. Keller Williams is the #1 real estate company in the world. They're the largest real estate company in the world. And so here locally in Cincinnati, it's somewhat new growth, and like this Ohio Valley region is somewhat growth. Like they kind of own the South. They're from Texas, and they have a lot of international as well. So I would say the brand presence locally in Cincinnati is kind of like, I don't know, it's probably like a third. Like Coldwell Banker does have a really strong brand. Sipsey Klein does have a really strong brand. So does Huff. And in the past, like Remax as well. And Remax still has a strong brand, but I would say like they've dipped in the last, like, I don't know, 10, 15 years. And there are other brokerages as well that are very solid. But Keller Williams, to me, I was like, oh, this is a national brand. They know how to run a business. For me, it was like the leadership. And I looked at Gary Keller and I watched a few videos of his, and I had read his book, The One Thing. And I was like, that guy's legit. And so like, to me also, the leadership is extremely important. I'm like, who's running the ship? And that guy, man, Gary Keller is a phenomenal leader. And I'm like, I will hitch my wagon to that guy for sure. All right. In general, what would you prefer that your brokerage do? Let's see here. What does this say? 45% say invest more in tech training and marketing, even if that makes my commission split or desk fees slightly worse. 54% say invest less in tech training and marketing in order to make my commission split. So most people want more money. Okay. And they want a higher split. And they're like, I'll take less tech training and marketing if my commission split goes up. And I'm the exact opposite on that. I'm like, give me the best tools, give me the best tech, give me the best training so that I can beat my competition. Cause then I'll sell more houses. And I don't need a higher split. I'm just going to sell more houses. All right. We've got a comment coming in here. Let's check it out. Hey, I'm planning to buy a house around November, December this year. Since you mentioned that's a good time to purchase in Northern Kentucky, do you think it's feasible for me to get a NACA loan? NACA loan. I'll be honest, I am not a lender. And so NACA's housing program will provide financing, necessary repairs, renovations for new construction or for new construction that NACA's. I mean, I don't have the full answer to that. However, I do have some phenomenal lenders that I can connect you with. If you're thinking of November and December, I would actually recommend that you reach out to them in the next month or two. You don't need to do a hard credit pull or anything like that right now, but just to open up the conversation to get your credit score in the best possible, the best possible place so that you're paying the least amount of money when that time comes in November, December. And I'll be honest with you, I'm not an expert on this NACA loan, but I guarantee they are. And so do me a favor, I'll put my email in the chat here, ericstanio@kw.com. That is me directly. Hit me up there and I'll connect you with our lenders. When it comes time for you to buy November, December, we'll be ready to go. So yeah, and yes, you are right, because I am right. That November and December is a really good time to buy. The winter in general is a good time to buy. That's when unless there's some really weird bonkers thing going on in the real estate market, seasonally here in Cincinnati, that's always when you're going to see the lowest prices is November and December, both on the new construction side and the resale home side, both of them. So, yep, it's a great time to shop. I love it. Hit me up and I'll connect you with my lenders, get that question answered for you. All right. Real estate as a career. A few more charts here because this is fun. And then I need to bounce because my son's playing his first flag football game and I want to go watch that. Even as business improves, it's clear the last few years have taken its toll as agents are less likely to recommend real estate as careers. So this is kind of what we talked about already. This is from the article. So only 29%. The difference between the percent of agents who would recommend being an agent to others compared to those who would not. So you can see this trend line of agents who are like, do not become a real estate agent. And I get that. I'm not saying the last few years has been easy. And I feel a little bit vindicated in how hard it's been the last few years that this is the case. I still think it's a great career. I absolutely love it. But there are more and more people who are saying, do not do this. Warning, do not become a real estate agent. What do you dislike about being a real estate agent? All right, this is interesting. We kind of talked about this, but number one is unpredictability of income in terms of being a major and a minor issue. Number two, difficulty of finding customers and building a business. Number three, dealing with other agents who are rude or unprofessional. Number four, I love that. I love that on this survey that dealing with other agents who are rude or unprofessional is higher than the absolute amount of income. Like we care about splits. Splits matter more than anything, but except for dealing with rude agents. I hate those rude agents. I'm not gonna lie, guys. There's a few Karens in the real estate world. There are more than a few Karens in the real estate world. So if you become a real estate agent, just understand. Yeah, rude agent will do it for sure. just know they're out there. You just got to smile. You got to do the best for your clients. And you say, hey, we're just, look, we're just selling houses here. We're trying to help people's dreams come true. Let's try to not be rude to one another because we're selling houses here. We are not, we're not going to war necessarily. There are other things that are more important. Okay, what else? Difficulty of closing deals in a volatile market is next. It's been a real challenge. Being always on call. Real estate agents don't like being always on call. I get that. That is why I hired an assistant. And even with an assistant, it's still really hard because she doesn't like being on call either. Unreasonable or abusive customers. Yeah, I mean, some customers are unreasonable. I've come across a few abusive, but this is why it's, being really kind as a real estate agent, let me take this back. What's the word? Trying to think through my Keller personality assessment. It's not kind. Being kind is a good thing, but being, what is the ranking on it? In fact, you guys want to see something fun? You'll see my personality here. Let me see if I can pull this up. Drive, Eric, KPA. Where is it? Give me 1 second. Yeah, okay. So let me pull this over here. And all right. So this is my personality. And this actually scores out really well to being a real estate agent. But what you want to be, it's adaptable and intensity. Yeah. So you want someone who's somewhat aggressive. When you're negotiating, you don't necessarily want a reserved person. You want someone who's actually, this is like a little bit of a misnomer. You think most real estate agents are really sociable, and a lot of them are, but you actually want someone who's less sociable so they're not wasting time and they're more task oriented. I'm a very expressive person, that you know what I'm thinking, you know what I'm feeling. You want someone who structure wise, they kind of they can be a little bit flexible, but then adaptability. You want someone who's independent. This is the one I was thinking of. You do not want a real estate agent who's accommodating at all, because accommodating means they can be a pushover. And so, like when you're dealing, when you're dealing with some of these rude real estate agents, you want someone who's going to be like, nah, like you ain't going to do that to my client. Like we're not doing that. And you can hold your ground. You don't mind being a little confrontational when you need to. I don't love being confrontational. I don't love it. But when I need to, like, and when you make me mad and when you're trying to screw my clients, I'm like, no, that's not happening. And so with that, you also want someone who's intense and you want someone who's skeptical. So I'm like, I was apparently crafted, this is very funny because I didn't think I'd ever be a real estate agent, but I was kind of like crafted in a weird science experiment to become a real estate agent. This is kind of the personality traits that you want. You're thinking about moving to Union, Kentucky to be closer to my friend and the airport where I work as an aircraft mechanic. Everyone I've met in the area seems really friendly. Yeah. I mean, Union is great. Actually, I've just spent the last couple weeks making a video on Union, Kentucky. So watch the channel for that. Did kind of a deep dive there. But I would also consider, Union, a lot of great options in Union. But if you want to be around the airport, I mean, Burlington and Hebron are great as well. Even Florence. My family moved to the Cincinnati area because of the airport back in the late 80s, and my parents still live in their Florence home. So, a lot of those areas could be a really good fit for you. Can't imagine there being any rude people around that area. Well, they're there, maybe they are there. Maybe not as many as you think, but they're out there. So yeah, check out that video. I think you'll really like it. It's high level overview stuff, but we also give you some pretty good footage. Okay, so let's wrap this up, and then I need to bounce out of here tonight. So what other things do people not like about becoming a real estate agent? Being always on call, unreasonable or abusive customers, the lone wolf, lack of training and supportive structure. Again, that's just pick the right brokerage, people, or join a team. It's not that hard. Working evenings and weekends. Yeah, I don't love that either. Lack of career growth. That's absolutely insane because this has been, I've been, lack of career growth. How is that? Becoming a real estate agent is unlimited potential. Like if you hone your skills, if you figure out a good lead generation system, like there's so much potential and career growth in becoming a real estate agent. And then you can change that into other things. And there's other roles. If you don't want to be in production all the time, there's other roles you can do. You can work within the brokerage. You can then, what I've done is because I've been in real estate, I'm also a real estate investor. And so I'm looking to I flip homes. I buy homes as rentals as well. It's a perfect match. And one big downside you should know if you are thinking of becoming a real estate agent, I'm going to have to add chapters to this thing. This is really good information if you made it this far. But, you eat what you kill. And clients out there, just no, I'm not trying to kill you, but potential clients. But as a real estate agent, there's no retirement plan. There's no 401k coming from the brokerage. Like you only make your commissions. So you have to have, if you're thinking about retirement, if you're thinking about wealth building, you have to think more than just the commissions you're making. You can make a ton of money in commissions, but you got to either, you got to throw that into assets in one way or another. So whether that's putting that in the market, whether that's cryptocurrencies, whether that's buying real estate, I don't care what you do. And I do, a little bit of all of the above because I think diversity is a smart thing. But, you can't just, that's a big, but just lack of career growth. I don't know how agents are answering that one. Actually, well, 60% of them are saying that's not an issue. So that's kind of the lowest one. All right. What do you like about being a real estate agent? Number one, we talked about this, entrepreneurial. You can set your own schedule. You can make your own decisions. I love that too. Helping people whose lives are in transition. Agree. Relationship with customers. Awesome. Made a lot of good friends by being their agent. I really like that. Love of real estate, houses and neighborhoods. So if you are the HGTV buff, great. But don't think that just translates directly to becoming a real estate agent or being a good one. It does not. Just because you love HGTV does not mean you'll be a good real estate agent. So it could be nice. It could be like a bonus, but it does not translate directly just because you like design or you like flipping shows or whatever. Like you got to do the work. You got to have the right personality as well. Ability to generate significant wealth. Yes, that is a major benefit for me. I love the potential of being a real estate agent. And it's like, you're growing your own business. Like, you get into it, you get out of it what you put into it, which is, I mean, that's not just real estate. That's kind of any business. But I like being a business owner. I did not think I was going to when I went through high school and college, but I love it now. The art of the deal, negotiating with other agents to get my clients the best deal. I do enjoy that. I'm not gonna lie. I really like saving my clients money. It's really fun. The thrill of the hunt, finding clients and closing sales. Yeah, I can see that. People like that. In your opinion, what are the challenges facing agents in the next 5 years? So the major concerns are affordability for buyers. We talked about this a little bit before. Ongoing lack of inventory, declining commissions, class action of DOJ lawsuits related to buyer agent commissions, erosion of the MLS marketplace as a primary source of available inventory, whatever, like things change. You know, I will say this, like when I got into it again, my agent Brad was like, I think you've only got, I don't know, 5-10 years before this entire industry goes gone. And because there are big players, there are big tech players like the Zillows of the world who are trying to get rid of real estate agents and bring all the commissions to themselves. And that is a real thing. And so if you are, I will say this, if you are thinking of becoming a real estate agent in 2025, that's a real risk. I've known that from the beginning. In 2018, my wife and I looked at it. I was like, this may work, this may not, but it started working. I was like, all right, let's make hay while the sun shines. And if they get rid of real estate agents completely, then okay, we built maybe we made some money and built some wealth and got some real estate rentals along the way. I will say, like, there've been multiple attempts to get real estate agents. I think from a transactional standpoint, from a viewing houses standpoint, from a contract law standpoint, I guess I said that already. From the nuts and bolts of the transaction, can AI wipe us out? Yes, I think so. But what's interesting in the last few years, as different big tech companies have tried to knock out real estate agents, the numbers actually have shown that more buyers and sellers are using real estate agents more than they were previously. And the reason why is they want the guide. They want to feel like the person they work with, like it's a big decision. It's a big financial decision. They want the hand-holding. They want someone to be able to answer their questions. Can AI do that in the future? Like, yes, to an extent, but is AI going to know like every single neighborhood? And can they tell you about like why that smell in the basement is the way it is? Like, it's going to be harder. And so I definitely, AI could change, is changing everything. And so it's not like certainly hard to imagine no real estate agents in the future. And that is a risk. And so I think that's worth considering if you're going to get into becoming a real estate agent in 2025, like what's the longevity? And I don't think that's just real estate. Like I'm telling my kids that. I asked ChatGPT the other day, said, hey, ChatGPT, hey G, tell me all the careers that are going to go away because of AI, and tell me all the careers that are AI proof. And I let AI tell me which careers are going away and which ones like are staying probably. And I let my kids listen to that. I'm like, guys, you should probably like not go for these and maybe go for these. And my son, my 12-year-old who's helping build our addition and has loved the construction work, like a lot of the jobs are the trades. Like AI can't do a lot of the trades. Okay. So if you're a plumber, you're an electrician, you're a carpenter, you're a roofer, like those are hard for AI to do right now. They don't have all the robot hands yet. And so my son was like, yeah, like he was pumped. He was like, I'm going to be a builder. I'm like, heck yeah, let's do it. Brink, what's up? I believe the current deceleration of the real estate market, driven by inflation and the influx of first-time home buyers will present significant challenges for agents, but it's still possible. Yeah. That's dead on. And that's the reason going back to this is like why there's less agents getting in. Like there's less homes being sold. There are a lot of challenges here. So I don't want to sugarcoat it. To get into this, becoming an agent right now is challenging. And so do I think it's still a great career to go for? Yeah. But I would probably like my biggest recommendation probably now is like because the agents who are here and who've made it over the last few years are the ones who have overcome those challenges, have figured out their systems, have strong lead gen, and they have a strong team lead who knows what they're doing and can close deals. And so I think if you're going to get into it, it makes a lot of sense to try to join a team. Or if you're one of those people, if you're one of those agents out there watching this right now and you bounced one brokerage because of commission splits and you're going to bounce the next one because of commission splits, probably what you should do is find a team that you really like and is a good fit, because it's not the commission splits, it's selling more houses. And so you should get on a team that sells more houses. And that's where I think this is going to continue to go in the next several years, is the teams are just going to keep growing. And so the teams that have the good systems, good processes, good customer service, all of that integrated, they'll bring in more of the agents who can't make it on their own into the team. And that's what we're trying to do. And we are growing. We're up to 3 other agents beside myself. We're really technically 4. And we have a new hire starting tomorrow, which is awesome, to help on the administrative side. So we want to give better customer service. We're going to bring that in-house. We're just going to keep growing. We're going to train our agents to make sure they give the service that I can give. So that's what we're doing on our team. Class action DOJ lawsuits, lack of consumer trust in real estate agents. These are the challenges: competition from low fee and alternative brokerages, competition from real estate search sites, increased pocket listings, competition from iBuyers. That's like, we'll buy your home for cash. Industry consolidation, ability to provide on-demand service. That's not as big of a concern. But yeah, most agents are saying the biggest concern is affordability for buyers and lack of inventory, declining commissions. I'm not really seeing that as a thing. So that's really the 2 things to me. Affordability right now, at least in the near term, I think those are the biggest issues, is affordability and lack of inventory. Okay. Man, how much less? I'm going to probably wrap this up pretty soon because we're about an hour in. I thought this would take about a half hour. Let me see if there's anything major here. Housing policies. Do you expect fewer home sales 25 as compared to 2024? Looks like we got some optimistic bunch. 50% say home sales will rise. 36 about the same. I think it's actually going to be about the same, or possibly down is actually my prediction. Do you expect home prices in your area to rise or fall? 50% say home prices will rise. 34% the same. In Cincinnati, so the median national home price is going down because there's some areas where that bubble is starting to burst. It's not happening here in Cincinnati. So we're seeing home prices rise. Last year, they went up about 5-6%. I think it's going to be about the same this year again. I feel positive about the state of the economy. Completely agree, somewhat agree, neutral, somewhat disagree. Yeah, it's kind of all over the map. Impact of climate change and insurance costs. That's going to be more for Florida, California, Texas. Have the customers you serve over the past 12 months had more, few climate? So that's more stuff. Has your brokerage provided any training related to climate and weather risks? Hey, look, sell some houses in the Midwest. This is an advantage here. I'm not saying we don't have climate and weather risks. We have some of that, but nowhere near, California, Texas, Florida, that kind of stuff. In fact, look at this. This chart is made for, I didn't even see this until just now, but it's overall, and then California, Florida, and Texas. So, yeah, I guess I kind of knew what that question was aimed at. Comparing this year to previous year, have you encountered more or fewer issues with home insurance? What share of customers you served over the last 12 months had an issue with home insurance? Good night. Discrimination. Have you experienced sexism? Have you experienced racial discrimination? Attitudes about the NAR settlement. So I'm in the very favorable category, which is 11%. Most people were neutral, somewhat unfavorable, or very unfavorable. And I'm just like, yeah, this thing's great. I like it. So I'm in the very favorable, but I'm also in the 10% for most units sold and most amount of income. So I don't know what that says about most real estate agents. What's your attitude towards the NAR? Wow. Dropped from 49% favorable to 25% favorable. What a dip. That's incredible. I'm just like, yeah, no, I'm good. Have you seen the NAR settlement changes impacted your business? 38% said negative. Only 5% said positive. Wow, that's incredible. This is news to me. Agents did not like that settlement. I'm just like, I loved it. I think it's so much. I think it's better. I mean, it took a little extra work and some extra communication, but isn't that what we're supposed to do, real estate agents? Since the NAR settlement changes took effect, have you noticed any changes in commission? Far more negotiations, slightly. I would say slightly more negotiation for us. Like how that works for us in our buyer consults is we usually are like, hey, have you heard about this settlement? And most people are like, no. I'm like, okay, here's this thing. It means that you have to sign this thing. Here's what we get paid. Here's what we do for you. Here's what you need to do for us. We're going to ask the sellers to pay for our commission. We ask that every single time. If they don't pay for our commission, then we can buy a different house. How does that sound? That's basically my pitch to buyers. So it's slightly more negotiation. And some buyers are like, well, we only want to pay X percent, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, okay, we can negotiate this, but these are our rates and we're good at our job. So we're going to work on that. So that's kind of how it works on our end. It is slightly more negotiation since the NAR settlement. Commissions overall next month. Do you think commissions will? So some people think they'll decline significantly. Some think they'll decline modestly. 38% say no change. So, man, this is a long thing. What best for, I think I'm going to wrap this up. Maybe I'll have to do a part 2 on this. Oh, how long have you been a real estate agent? More than 10 years. Oh, wow. So yeah, very few new real estate agents. Did you work as a real estate agent in the past 12 months? Yes, as a part-time agent. Does your brokerage or team provide leads to help you grow your business? No, 55%. Yes, my brokerage team provides leads for free. This is where the team, I just think like getting leads on a team is what makes sense in the future here because most brokerages do not. Or you could do it and you could pay them for it. How is your approximate income over the past 12 months? Yeah, I will just say we're in the top percentages here. We're doing good at Team Stanio. A recession is likely to adversely impact the real estate market, affecting agents, buyers, and sellers alike. However, I believe that the Midwest, particularly cities like Cincinnati, remain stable. 100%. Brink, have you been watching my videos? Yeah, it is definitely impacting real estate markets, especially places where there have been booms. But we're still, cities in the Midwest like Cincy, Indianapolis, Columbus, St. Louis, where else? Nashville's overpriced. Kind of that pocket and that Midwest is where you're seeing, maybe some in Pennsylvania, but Ohio, Kentucky, Lexington, Louisville, I guess those are the other ones. That's where you're seeing a lot of people move because you can still afford a home. There's still job opportunities there. And so we are relatively stable. And even if there is a recession and there is a bust in the economy, I've said this before, I say it all the time, but Cincy we don't bust like other cities because we don't boom like other cities. And so there's that stability both in the rise and the fall when you're in a city in the Midwest, like here. I think you're agreeing with my buyer consultation, but I'm not sure on that point. Okay, nearly 30% of agents are six-figure earners. So it is a great business for making income. 30% of people make over $100,000. That's pretty awesome. How many sales did you close in the last year? Most people between 1 and 4 and 5 and 9. 19%, 10 to 14, 10%, 15 to 19. We did around 65 transactions last year in 2024. So we are definitely in the more than 25. How many hours per work did you week? Yeah, well, we're working a lot of hours. I'm probably, this is interesting. By income, it shows you how many hours. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, if you want to make less money, then you can work less hours. Very interesting. So if you make less than 50K, you're working less than 10 hours a week or 10 to 19 hours a week or 20 to 29 hours a week or 30 to 39 hours a week. If you're making 200K or more, you're working 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 hours a week. So that's a great chart. Can you guys see that? I love this chart. This is a great chart for understanding like, hey, I'm in real estate. I get to work all my own hours. And yes, true. But if you would like to make money, maybe you should work those hours. And like, maybe you should work full-time hours, because if you work part-time hours, you are going to make part-time money. That's a great chart. I am better off financially than I was 4 years ago. Completely agree. I'm in the completely agree category. Most people are agree, somewhat agree, and interesting. I would have figured there would have been more disagree on that, actually. Or maybe they didn't, maybe those agents didn't respond because they're out of the business. Do you plan on being a real estate agent 5 years from now? Yes. Yeah. Again, these are the agents that are still in the business. So a lot of people got out of it. Over 150,000 of them. Do you plan on being the real? How likely would you be to recommend your current real estate career as a real estate agent to others? Interesting. So the highest are 5, 6, 5, 7, and 10. But more and more people are like, nope, don't do it. Run away. Okay. I'm going to wrap it up there. There's more info. Oh, good. It's almost done. Jason, that was very cool. Thank you for putting that together. What is your attitude towards your local MLS? Yeah, blah, blah, blah. Okay. So there you go. I'll wrap it up. Little different episode tonight. Put my trophy back. If you're a buyer or seller out there, maybe this was interesting to you. If you're interested in getting into the real estate market, then maybe this was interesting to you. If you're an agent at another brokerage or on another team, hook us up, like contact us at Team Stanio, because we're growing. We continue to grow, and we're looking for great agents to join the team. So if you're one of those people who is looking to move brokerages because of the cap splits and all that, I don't know. That's silly. Just sell more houses. Get on a team to help you sell more houses. All right, guys. I got to go. Oh, my goodness. I got to go. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.